But we have to talk about this. This is absolutely embarrassing from ESPN. So this is ESPN at the ESPYs. This is the ESPYs from Shane Gillis. Let's take a listen. I can't show a clip just for copyright reasons. Let's take a listen to what he said.
When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist-fighting black women.
What?
ESPN left Caitlin Clark out, and fans absolutely lost it. Let me promise you this up front. If you stick around until the end, I'll give you a simple 3-signal checklist that helps predict when a small Caitlin Clark moment is about to explode into a full league-wide controversy before it completely takes over your timeline. On the surface, this story looks insignificant, but it presses the exact button that turns calm fans into furious ones. Here's what happened, quickly. The Indiana Fever jumped on the popular 2016 throwback trend. You've seen it everywhere. Teams sharing old photos, vintage uniforms, and nostalgic moments. It's supposed to be harmless fun. But when the Fever posted their 2016 throwbacks, Caitlin Clark wasn't included. In any normal situation, that wouldn't matter much. In the Caitlin Clark universe, though, that's lighting a match in dry grass. Fans don't see it as an accident. They see it as proof that it's happening again.
Caitlin Clark takes to social media and calls out ESPN. Now, there's a lot of stuff that is going on behind the scenes in regards to Caitlin Clark, potentially being on the roster, not being on the roster, which I'm going to do that in a whole nother video. But we have to talk about this because a lot of people have been saying that Caitlin Clark been kind of weak, not standing on business. She's just been letting the league and networks say whatever about her and all these different things. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's a new day and age. There's a new time. And Caitlin Clark standing on big business. Want to know why Caitlin Clark standing on big business? She got big business teammates.
The exclusion, the avoidance, the quiet suggestion that she isn't meant to be the focal point, even when all the attention is already on her. Caitlin notices it too. She comments, short, sharp, and impossible to ignore. That single line is why this situation took off, because it reads like, you followed the trend and still somehow left out the biggest name on your own roster. The Fever responded by explaining that they searched and scrolled but didn't have a proper 2016 throwback to use. And to be fair, that explanation might be accurate. In 2016, Caitlin Clark was still a teenager. She wasn't a professional yet. There isn't a clean WNBA moment from that year because she wasn't in the league. Technically, the reasoning makes sense, but the internet doesn't care about logic. The internet runs on emotion, and the emotion here is simple. How do you leave her out? How do you participate in a nostalgia trend and not feature the player who is bringing more attention to your franchise than anyone ever has? The reaction went beyond mild frustration. It felt personal, because this taps into the biggest fear Clark fans have, that the league will benefit from her popularity without ever fully embracing her, that it will take the growth but avoid giving the credit, that it will celebrate momentum without saying her name. And if that sounds dramatic, look at what happened next. This wasn't the only moment. Later that same week, the WNBA Players Association shared messaging about rising attendance and league momentum. Fans noticed what they always notice: the wording, the framing, who gets highlighted, who gets thanked, and who gets mentioned. And once again, Caitlin Clark's name wasn't there in the way fans expected. This doesn't mean every post is a conspiracy, but online, perception becomes reality. To casual fans, it looks like this. The league is happy to enjoy the financial boost, but uncomfortable giving too much credit to one person. At that point, this stops being about a social media post. It becomes a symbol, and symbols spread faster than facts. That's why this blew up. Being left out hurts more than being criticized. Insults lead to debates and stats. Omission feels like erasure, and that triggers something deep, feelings of injustice, betrayal, and being used. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a player anymore. She's a. Movements don't like being controlled, and music or momentum never responds well to management. But let's be fair for a moment. Caitlin's second season didn't unfold the way anyone expected. Injuries slowed her progress. Fewer games disrupted rhythm, setbacks that should have cooled the noise around her, right? Instead, the opposite happened. When she wasn't on the floor, the conversation grew louder. Fans didn't disengage, they leaned in. They started searching for signs. They paid closer attention to how the league spoke about her when she wasn't actively dominating the storyline on the court. That's why every small omission suddenly mattered. Each one became a test of respect, of intent, of whether the league truly understands the magnitude of what it has. And this is where it gets even more significant. While all of this tension simmers inside the WNBA ecosystem, outside of it the momentum is moving in the opposite direction. Early Team USA 2026 conversations are already taking shape, and Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers are sitting right at the center of those discussions. That contrast is impossible to ignore. Inside the league's day-to-day discourse, fans feel like Caitlin is being minimized. On the global stage, the future is being framed around her generation. When fans notice that gap, it amplifies everything. Tells them the world sees it, so why doesn't the league fully lean into it? That question is what keeps reigniting the fire. And that's why this matters whether you're a creator, a fan, or someone who only catches the headlines. This isn't just drama, it's leverage. Attention is currency, and Caitlin Clark is an attention magnet. When an organization appears to downplay its strongest magnet, it doesn't reduce the pull. It creates suspicion. It makes the audience defensive. It convinces them they have to protect her. That's how reactions become larger than the original moment. A small omission triggers a big backlash, which leads to bigger headlines, more engagement, and rising tension. That's the cycle. And here's what most people miss. These blowups aren't random. They follow a pattern. This is the payoff. If you want to spot the next Caitlin Clark firestorm before it happens, watch for 3 signals. Signal 1. A public omission where she clearly belongs. Graphics, highlight reels, promos, lists, trend posts. It doesn't need to be intentional. It just needs to be visible because visibility creates screenshots. Signal 2. A reaction that can be shared instantly. A comment from Caitlin. A teammate's reply. A subtle clapback. A one-line quote that spreads faster than any explanation ever could. Can't Be God is the perfect example, short, sharp, and endlessly shareable. Signal 3. A second institution reinforcing the same omission energy. A union post. A media segment. A brand graphic. A commentator framing it as disrespect or erasure. That's the amplifier. Once that happens, it stops being a moment and becomes a narrative. And narratives are what go viral. When Signal 1 and Signal 2 appear together, Signal 3 usually follows quickly. Sometimes within hours, sometimes within days. And when all 3 land in the same window, fans snap. Because it confirms their deepest fear, that Caitlin can drive the league forward, but the league still wants to manage the story without fully giving her center stage. My final takeaway is simple. If the Fever's explanation is true, this began as a basic content issue, no clean 2016 throwback. Fine. But the response proves something far more important. Caitlin Clark can no longer be treated like an ordinary player in ordinary situations. She isn't one. Every post is scrutinized. Every omission is dissected. Every silence becomes a headline. The smartest move for any team, league account, or institution is straightforward. If Caitlin is part of your world, show it publicly. Because if you don't, the fans will fill the gap, and they won't do it quietly. They'll do it loudly, emotionally, and in a way that forces everyone to choose a side. Musical notes.